Plasma cutting, a valuable precision cutting process for creating parts made of metal components. A must-have for the everyday hobbyist or metal shop, that is, if you have the space. Familiar with the plasma cutters displayed right now? These are two of hundreds of single-use CNC plasma cutting tables on the market right now. These products are very expensive for your everyday hobbyist or small metal shop, not to mention they require a large amount of space to be stored. Currently, small hobby shops find themselves scrambling to find space for new tools or equipment. For many who look to incorporate a precision piece of equipment, like a CNC plasma cutter, space becomes a deciding factor to stray from making such an expensive purchase. With every good workshop requires some sort of table to use for working on projects. Why not create a multi-use table that eliminates the space constraints experienced today? That's where DIY engineering comes in. DIY engineering has teamed up with Tab and Slot to create a retrofit CNC plasma cutting table called the fabCutter in order to make CNC plasma cutting operations available to shops large and small. Tab and Slot is a manufacturing firm that creates and sells a proprietary line of welding tables known as fab blocks that make use of the industry standard 16mm on 2-inch hole center patterning in order to allow for easy access for clamps, weld fixtures, and tooling. What a perfect table for hobbyists looking to make the most out of their workspace. The table design incorporates tabs and slots to allow for the product to be shipped flat and assembled by the customer. With a table designed to attach and remove different tools, it is the perfect blank canvas to design a retrofit CNC plasma cutting system for. DIY engineering has developed a 3 sub-assembly system, each of which is under the 50-pound OSHA standard, that can be attached and removed safely. Let's get into the details. First, the X-axis sub-assembly must be attached to the table, making use of easy quick connections known as fab nuts. The fab nuts hold the sub-assembly in place so that it can be bolted to the table with fab bolts as shown. With the X-axis sub-assembly attached to the table, the X-rail is attached to the X-axis sub-assembly with a carriage that will allow the gantry to traverse the X direction. The carriage on the X-rail serves as the attachment point for the last sub-assembly, the Y-axis rail and carriage. The Y-axis carriage houses both driveline components and the Z-axis height control, allowing the plasma cutter to traverse the Y and Z directions. The Y rail is identical to that of the X rail to make for ease of assembly. With the addition of this final component, the fabCutter can now be controlled via the CNC control package in all 3 axes. Ready to start cutting? The fabCutter has been designed to work with both machine torches and hand torches, so get your plasma torch and get to work. The 3-axis control provided by the fabCutter provides full cut coverage of the table while only requiring connection to one side of the table. The cantilever design of the fabCutter minimizes attachment time while providing a large cutting area for your next project. Prior to creating an initial prototype for the fabCutter, computer simulations were utilized to assess the deflection experienced by the design as well as the harmonic motion resulting from the movement of the carriages. The design underwent both static and dynamic loading scenarios in order to assess the stability of the cantilever in operation in order to ensure cut quality is maximized. The results for the cantilever design of the fabCutter were compared to simulation data for the fabCutter with a wheeled end support at the free end of the cantilever. The cantilevered system deflected roughly 3 times that of the gantry supported on the free end. This deflection fits within the desired accuracy of CNC plasma cutting systems as outlined by the control package, so the cantilever approach was pursued. Don't believe the fabCutter is tough or precise enough for your needs? The cutter has a path tolerance of 0.07 of an inch, and the entire structure is made of 1/4 inch steel plate. Curious to see the initial prototype? DIY Engineering has worked with Tab and Slot to create an initial prototype for the fabCutter. The team can be seen assessing the stability of the cantilever of the fabCutter to assess the dynamic performance of the design. As a team, we do not anticipate that the cantilever will oscillate as shown, as the CNC control package allows for the use of ramp inputs so the drivelines will not suddenly move the carriages. The build itself was relatively simple, with the fabCutter making use of Tab and Slot design strategies to allow for the design to be shipped flat and assembled by the user. The attachment process was simple and easy and was a major area of focus as we want to ensure that you can easily transform your workspace to best fit your needs. The prototype makes use of tabs and slots, like those of the fab block, to ensure that you can assemble the product yourself. All of the fasteners shown are also Tab and Slot products, making Tab and Slot your one-stop shop for all fabCutter needs. The initial prototype underwent a preliminary costing analysis showing that it made use of $122 of sheet metal. This estimate comes from Tab and Slot's ability to laser cut at $2 per minute with lower rates for bulk orders of sheet metal. The cost of the entire design consists of the sheet metal, driveline components, and the CNC control package costs. Competitive products, like those shown earlier, range from $2,500 to $31,000, and our goal is to keep the fabCutter at the lower end of this spectrum, making a retrofit CNC plasma cutter available at an affordable price. The initial prototyping showed that improvements need to be made to reinforce the structural rigidity of the X-axis subassembly and rail. In prototyping, a fab square and linkage arm were used to eliminate some deflection, but further additions will need to be made to support the center of the X-rail to ensure precision cutting of the fabCutter. With DIY engineering working diligently alongside Tab and Slot, we hope to have these problems worked out as soon as possible. Thanks for watching. We hope you are as excited as we are to revolutionize your workspace.